Yo, what up, everybody? My name is Drake Demore from the Win City Sports Podcast, and this episode of Cedric Ben's Combat Quarter is brought to you by the Win City Sports Podcast. Check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere podcasts are found, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or directly on wincitysports.com. Smell you later.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Cedric's Combat Corner number 25. I am your host, Cedric Ben. Today on the Triple C's podcast, I'll be going over the big heavyweight rematch from last Saturday, the much anticipated rematch from the big upset that shocked the world, Andy the Destroyer Ruiz versus Anthony AJ Joshua. So I'll be going over that, a quick review of the fight, a quick breakdown of what each fighter was doing and the future of each one. And then of course, the boxing training focus of the week. This week's focus will be shoulder mobility part 3. I'll get more details about that after. So this was basically a combination of me being impressed by the adjustments that Anthony Joshua made physically and mentally, and the disappointment of the failed adjustments that Andy Ruiz obviously did not do. So I guess I'll start with the bad stuff first. This guy Andy Ruiz, man. This is the textbook definition or textbook example of wasted opportunity. This guy had the opportunity to change his life forever, financially. His whole career, he's probably made. Probably only in the last couple of fights was he making six figures, but he's lucky. He was lucky lucky enough to be a last minute replacement a couple of months ago to fight Anthony Joshua, and they gave him $5 million. Before that, he was probably made maybe close to that total between those 20 fights, maybe close to $1 million. He got lucky to be a last minute replacement against Anthony Joshua. They gave him $5 million. Nobody thought he can do it, including myself. As I said before, I told people that I knew he could fight. I'm not going to lie and say I was predicting him to win, but I knew he could fight. And he was just coming off a fight a couple of months before, so it's not like he was just at home on the couch. He was still in somewhat shape because he just had a fight like a couple months before that. Got right back into camp. And like I said before, he shocked the world. That was supposed to be Anthony Joshua's big North American debut. And unfortunately, it got ruined by a guy that nobody knows and was not expecting to win. Pretty sure it was like a 24-1. The odds were for that fight there. That's why I compare it to the Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson, which was like 42. Anyways, shocked the world. This time they gave him $9 million for the rematch. So in 2 fights in 1 year, he made a total of $14 million. All you have to do is stay focused for a couple of months. Just for a couple of months for the rematch. And he could have made like generational wealth. 14 mil is good. You could, obviously you can live off that, and then your family should be good for the next couple of generations. But he had the opportunity, if he could have stayed focused and won this fight, and then obviously a unification with with Wilder, he would have got generational wealth. Type of wealth you got for the next couple of generations. This is the opportunity that this guy had, and he simply blew it. And this is nothing new for professional athletes in general. Going from nothing to having access to whatever you want in life. For some people, it's a little bit overwhelming. Anyways, no excuses. The great ones can stay focused. That's the other thing I was going to talk about later. Anyways, couldn't stay focused for a couple of months, And it showed as soon as the first round started. Anthony Joshua just boxed the shit out of him. Now I'm definitely not comparing him to Muhammad Ali, but just of the saying, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee." The bee stings were far and few. He wasn't really sitting down on the ones that he did sit down on did count. Andrew Reese, that's one thing. This guy could take a shot. That one right hand that he landed right, I'm pretty sure it was the first round. Like his ear touched his shoulder the way it snapped to the side. And he just took it and kept coming forward. That guy could take a shot. So AJ did what he was supposed to do, what he had to do physically and mentally. Just jabbed his way through. Jabbed and moved, jabbed and moved. His jab was the one thing that I criticized him in the first fight was not having an educated jab. He definitely went to school and did his homework and definitely improved on that jab. His jab was definitely much more educated in that match. And what I mean by educated is by not just randomly throwing it out there, but properly placing it in a position where it's gonna prevent your opponent from coming forward, prevent your opponent from trying to counterpunch you, prevent your opponent from trying to time it and slipping it and then counterpunching you with something hard to the body or anything at all. So it was very educated. He was throwing it at the right time and mixing up the tempo of it too. Sometimes it would be pop, pop, pop. Other times it would be, a nice one stepping like a power jab, pushing off that back leg, making your opponent's head snap back. Yeah, man, his jab was definitely on point. Much credit to Anthony Joshua for improving his jab. But going back to Andy Ruiz real quick, let me just finish this off, finish the bad stuff off first just to get it out the way. I use the example of Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson. I hear a lot of people give the example of Sugar Ray Leonard versus Roberto Duran when they fought for the second time. But my boxing memory doesn't go that far. I'm 39, but my boxing memory don't go that far. The last one I remember was Tyson and Douglas, where again, the odds were maybe not exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was like 42-1. Those were the odds of Tyson winning. And Buster Douglas came through and, again, I said shocked the world like 10 times already, but that's exactly what they did because nobody was predicting these guys to win. And in the same way that Buster Douglas won and lost his belts is the same way Andrew Ruiz did the same thing too. In his first title defense against Evander Holyfield, you can just look at his body as soon as he got in the ring. There was he didn't even work out at all. Everything was flabby again. And he just, simply lost his focus. And then Andy Ruiz after the fights is going to come with a million excuses. You weren't training, you lost your focus and this and that. I'm like, oh, man, you lied to us, man. You lied to us. You said you were training hard. You said you would die for your belts. You said you weren't just going to give them up easy. You said you were, but no. Lost his focus. And now we're probably not going to, not that we're never going to hear from him again, but he's going to have to work his way up. Yeah, that's if he wants to work his lazy ass back up the ladder again. Anyways, like I said, he did good for his career. 14 million, 2 fights. Hope he doesn't waste it all. Yeah. All right. On to the good stuff now. Anthony Joshua. Yes, much respect to you, homie. Much respect. He, like I said before, he definitely did his homework, and he fought a completely different fight. He lost some of that extra heavy muscle that was slowing him down and making him tired early in his fights. Again, he did his homework, and he passed the test physically and mentally. Let me break it down specifically. So physically, the test he passed was losing the weight. I believe it was about 13 or 14 pounds that he lost of muscle. And he lost that weight specifically so that he would be able to move around the ring for 12 rounds. Because that was one of the things on him before was that he would often, later on in fights would gas out. He still made it 12 rounds in a few times, but, you could visibly see that he was tired. So he lost the weight. He was visibly smaller, and he needed to be like that to be able to move around the ring, to float around the ring like that, like he did. And the reason why I'm more impressed is that he's never done this in his career before, especially for 12 rounds, especially as heavyweights. It's one thing to be on your toes, for a couple of seconds for a quick little flurry when you got a little extra energy in you, but to be able to do that for 12 rounds. Now, he did do it against an overweight opponent in front of him, but he still did it. I'm going to keep it positive on this part. So, yeah, man, he did exactly what he did. He did it properly. He did it flawlessly, actually. Well, almost flawless. Defense and this is the mental part. Mentally, the big question was going to be, how was he going to react? And the very few times that he did get hit, whether he was hurt or not, he didn't show any signs of being hurt. And that was the criticism that I have of him in the first fight. You got to do your best to show your opponent that you have no sign that you're tired or hurt. It's actually funny because I was actually predicting an 8th round upset again for Andy Ruiz. And the 8th round was actually the only round that I actually gave to Andy in this fight. That was the only fight that he actually showed some, whatever. I don't exactly. It wasn't a clear punch, but people complain about punches in the back of the head when it's on the side of your ear. But whatever. That 8th round was the only round that Ruiz could say that he actually won. That was the only round that I gave to him, which was funny to be the round that I predicted would be the upset. So I was a little extra excited when that was happening. But I mean, how was I supposed to know the guy wasn't gonna be in shape? How was I supposed to know? Like, his camp. Let me just one more thing about this guy. Right, they wanted him back in for training camp in July. This guy didn't show up until September. Now you might ask yourself, if the fight was in December, why they want him back in July? It's not to do the hard, 2-3 times a day training. It's just to keep that base, just to, few rounds of shadow boxing, few rounds on the bag, not even all out, just some technical stuff, just to master, again, you hear me say a lot, mastering the fundamentals, just to make sure everything stays sharp, so that when you do go into camp, you can focus on just the things that you're supposed to, for your specific opponent. All right, back to the positive part. So, Joshua. So yeah, man, once again, much respect to Anthony Joshua for his performance. Again, not comparing him to these exact boxers, but the performance that he had was reminds me of when Floyd fought Diego Corrales, or more, I should say, the guy, fuck's his last name, Chavez. Chavez is his last name. Pretty sure it was Julio Cesar, but not the same Julio Cesar Chavez, the legend guy, not him. Another Julio Cesar Chavez, where Mayweather was literally, he did not stand, like literally stick and move to the point where the crowd was booing at one point. But still, like, again, the crowd was booing, but the other guy's coach stopped it in the 8th round because Floyd was just making his head look like a pinball the whole time. So again, man, it's you got to do what you got to do to win the fight. Boxing, that's boxing, man. That's boxing. Much respect to AJ. And now hopefully, we got another big match next year. Fury and Wilder will be February 22nd. Not sure when Joshua's next match will be. Most likely back in England. Get comfortable again. And then we'll see what happens after that. I actually think Joshua and Fury, as far as boxing-wise, might be a little bit more interesting as far as watching it. Because Joshua and Wilder, when that happens, man, with any Wilder fight at this point in time, with all these top guys, yeah, it's not going to be a debate on, what rounds he's going to win or the other person's going to win. I believe Fury will outbox him. I believe Joshua will outbox him. just like Ortiz outboxed him. The question is, can they stay perfect for 12 rounds? It's not a question on whether, the boxing's going to be back and forth. I don't even think that's the question. I just think the question is, can they stay perfect for 12 rounds? Because if they can't, good night. Tyson Fury was able to get up in that 12th round like the Undertaker in wrestling. Can he do it again? We'll see. All right. Now, boxing training focus of the week, more for the warm-up and cool-down part for the muscles. Shoulder mobility part 3, using the lacrosse ball. The first one was using that lacrosse ball on your back, lying down on the floor, and moving the arms in different directions to get those knots out in the top back of your shoulder. This one is more for the traps, right in the middle, right beside your neck. Those muscles definitely get tight. For everyone in general, specifically for athletes, specifically for boxers. So check that out. It's on my YouTube page. You got to scroll down a little bit for it. But I also put it on my Twitter feed today. I just reposted it on my Twitter feed, so you can check it out on there. And you can message me on any social media, any questions or concerns, anything you want me to add to the show, any questions you want me to answer on the show. Hit me up on any social media at Cedric Sports, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah. Shout out. What's going on this weekend? We got the Terrence Crawford, and we got Teofimo Lopez and Richard Comey. So I'll be doing that. That's the next breakdown I'll be doing. Yeah. Cedric Sports. Hit me up. Shout out to Win City Sports. Yeah.